Joe, good to see how you doing. Evening. How you been, Joe? Comatose, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Mike, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? T, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Stormy, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Tall, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. How you been? Ian, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. How you been? So let's do a breakdown of what we're going to go from tonight's live, and by that time, everyone's tuned in for the first part. G, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles. Thank you for bringing us the news. Let's go, G. How you doing? Good evening, Miles. Hope you're well, and all the CMF family. Let's go, Addy. How you doing? Mike, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good day, all. Hi, Miles, the CMF. George, good to see you as well. How you doing? Lados, how you doing? Good to see you as well. Shelly, morning. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Why is saying people XRP not used by Tipples? I mean Ripple. I made a tweet about that. Go and check out the tweet on the CMF page for the X communities page, and you'll see. Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Evening, Miles and Crypto Peeps. Semper, good to see you. How you doing? Why is Bitcoin going up and alts going down? Don't be sad about that. We're going to talk about tonight's live as well. So, on tonight's episode of the CMF Live, episode 181. It's episode 181, but it's episode 182. Interesting. I think I messed up the titles. On one of them, it says episode 181. The other one says 182. I think it's technically episode 82. Now, on tonight's episode of CMF Live, we're going to be talking about Hong Kong on tonight's live. We're going to talk about Hong Kong because they've released a set of rules and regulations that is going to make Hong Kong very profitable inside the crypto space, which is a benefit for the crypto space in general, because China is going to be using Hong Kong's market space or the cryptocurrency space, because their rules and regulations are very strict. Now, we're also going to be talking about Trump's crypto project because it was released. We're going to go through some bullet points on that matter as well. We're also going to go through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding one of the oldest banks in Thailand approving essentially a stable coin to be released for cross-border payments, which is big news. Then we're going to go through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding Elizabeth Warren and John Deaton. Now, if you were somebody that was listening yesterday to the John Deaton, Elizabeth Warren, you would know that John Deaton pretty much ended Elizabeth Warren's career, you could possibly say. We're going to go through some bullet points on what was discussed on that essentially one-on-one situation they had going on. We're also going to talk about JP Morgan on tonight's live show as well. JP Morgan and Bank of America anticipate continued interest rates by the Fed and how that's going to be impacting the market space. And then we're going to be going through the news topic on regarding Bitwise. Bitwise's CIO once again has came out with a prediction on what could possibly happen in the fourth quarter of 2024. On the crypto space. Then we're going to go through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding US elections. US elections in 2024, brace for the impact. So we're going to go through topics related to what could possibly happen if this candidate is chosen, these possibilities could happen, that candidate, and so on. And these are perspectives coming from executives and CEOs and board members from different organizations around the world. Then we're going to talk about on tonight's live show regarding crypto's essentially usage setting records. According to A16Z, who was also at the Ripple Swell event, they did a speech. The essentially venture capitalist A16Z did a massive speech on the crypto space and in terms of regulations, policies, and so on. We're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. That speech that they made was at the Ripple Swell event. Then we're going to talk about the DTCC, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, has decided to launch a sandbox. Finally, you see, every country around the world has some sort of a digital sandbox going on. And a sandbox is where every government will essentially test out certain applications, by applications, I mean certain blockchain projects. And then if the blockchain project passes all the tests, it will be utilized by everyone in that country. But first, it has to pass the test in the digital sandbox. Now, every country has their own digital sandbox going on. In fact, the UK even decided at one point to do a joint digital sandbox with the US, which the US never got back to the UK for that matter. But it seems like the US finally is launching their first ever digital sandbox, which is great to see. Then we're going to go from a news topic on tonight's live show regarding Ripple. Ripple's XRP ETF filings. A perspective coming from the Chicago Markets executive. The Chicago Markets Exchange executive was at the Ripple Swell event. We're going to go through his speech, what he said regarding XRP ETFs. It's a big speech, and it's coming from somebody that runs one of the biggest exchanges in the entire world. Chicago Market Exchange is massive. Then we're going to talk about essentially a perspective coming out of Eric. Now, if you don't know who Eric is obviously essentially a Bloomberg ETF specialist, an analyst from Bloomberg. I'm going to go through his perspectives on the new recent Grayscale ETF that was announced yesterday, which we also went through on yesterday's live show, regarding AVAX, Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, and XRP, and so on. They're all going to be a one pack of an ETF for Grayscale. We're going to go through Eric's perspective on why this Grayscale ETF can actually be approved compared to the rest of the ETFs that are going on right now. Mainly because Grayscale sues. Grayscale was the first one to initiate Bitcoin ETFs because they sued the SEC and then got a green light. So we know what Grayscale is going to do if the SEC doesn't respond to them, sue them. Then we're going to talk about regulatory clarity, a key for banks entering the crypto industry, a perspective coming from an executive. We're going to go through his opinions on tonight's live show as well. We're also going to talk about Ripple announcing partnerships with the International Rescue Committee at the IRC. Ripple made their announcements that they are now a part of the IRC. Ripple also, well, in terms of Russia, now we all know about the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and so on, and some other nations that are joining the BRICS nations. Now, the Bank of International Settlements is obviously in control of all these banks. 63 centralized banks are under the Bank of International Settlements. And Enbridge is one of the projects that the Bank of International Settlements has going on for this digital future of all these banking systems being connected together. Well, according to another PDF documentation that was released from Russia, XRP is on the PDF documentation for Enbridge, Bank of International Settlements, which is what the BRICS systems and every other country around the world is probably going to be using. 63 centralized banks are under the Bank of International Settlements. And Enbridge, which is one of the biggest projects for the Bank of International Settlements, a PDF document from Russia's bank suggesting XRP is on actually the documentations, the diagram of XRP is on their documentations. Now, before we go for any of those newses, let's go. Let me just say to everyone, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to CMF Live. My name is Miles. I'm your host, as I am every single night. This is episode 182 of the CMF Live. And if you're regular, let's go CMF. Thank you so much to everyone from the CMF, honestly, that tunes in every single night. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's been retweeting this live right now as well, and liking this live as well on X. I'm getting notifications. And thanks so much to everyone that's been liking this live on YouTube as well. So welcome everyone to the CMF Live show. On this live, every single night, you can tune in where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world transforming into a digital era. We also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you have any questions, put them down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching us for the first time ever, if you're regular, let's go CMF. The live show has officially started now. Now, before we go through the Hong Kong news, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what's going on there. And then we go through the Hong Kong news and China news regarding regulations and policies to crypto assets. Even if I was a crypto peeps, Semper, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, you think for Chainlink is Goof one? As in Chainlink is a good project? Yes, Chainlink is a good project. Good evening, Professor Miles and the rest of the CMF family. Kerry, funky brother, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, when will CBDC start in global perspective? 2025 is going to be a much more global perspective. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Orphan, good to see you. How you doing? Carol, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and all CMF. JP, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How long have we got? They'll probably file at the 11th hour. Knowing the SEC, probably, yes. Okay, so regarding the SEC situation, because they haven't filed in their C1 filings so far. So here's the thing of how the law works inside the United States. And basically, the SEC has to file in their C1 form today. Today's their final day to file in what part of the Ripple case they want to dispute as an appeal. So the SEC has to put it in paper and send it off of what part of the case, the Ripple case between them, they want to dispute and send it off. The SEC so far has not filed that C1 filing in. Now, the SEC, if they don't file their C1 filing today, they have one more extra business day where they can file in for an extension. Now, the court has to approve the extension, and it has to be a genuine reason. Now, if they miss their one business day to file an extension for why they didn't do anything either in that place, then they have to file in a motion, which the courts will get back to them in 5 to 6 days. And the courts have to decide why they missed their deadlines for their C1s, why they missed their one business day to file in an extension, and why have they essentially sent in such a late reply. And the courts will look at this, and within 5 to 6 days, it could be tossed out. So that's the other part. Nobody's telling you about the C1 filings. But it's 5 to 6 business days. But they have one business day now where they have to file in an extension. If they miss their extension filing, then they have to file in essentially a motion of why they've missed their extension also and why they haven't filed in their C1. They have to come up with a very, very good reasoning. Also, if the SEC misses their C1 filing date, it makes their case weak. If they miss their extension, one business extension date to file in an extension, it makes their case weak. The judges, in general, the courts do not like it when anybody misses deadlines. This could be the SEC or this could be Ripple. The courts, in general, do not like it when anybody misses deadlines. And your case pretty much gets tossed out. But yeah, that's regarding this SEC situation, which nobody's telling you about, but I thought let me share that we're going to see C1 filings. When will Tipple case over so it can be future money? Well, we'll see. Grayscale shouldn't apply for an XRP ETF at this moment with the SEC. Refused. Knowing Grayscale, they will sue the SEC. And Grayscale has never lost against the SEC regarding their ETF filings. Grayscale, yeah. And when is Grayscale? Well, they haven't filed any. Miles, I looked into XDC as you suggested last night. Oh my God, they are just as good as XLM and XRP. Let's go, funky brother. Yeah, XDC is incredible and incredibly cheap for what it is. Very, very cheap for what it is. Hello, brother Miles. Dale, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Let's go to the next knowledgeable evening. Let's go, Kali. How you doing? But some, as the others, 2Xs, the price has not moved much on XDC either. Yep. Hey, bro, I want to take you out for dinner tonight for all the stuff you've done for me. I don't know who you are, to be honest with you. Okay, there's a weird person inside the comment section. Miles, do you mean UK time tomorrow? Yeah, they will file at 11:59 probably. Is Chainlink on Grayscale's list for projects? No, as far as I'm aware, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, AVAX. That's going to be turned into a chain. That's going to be turned into an ETF for Grayscale, as far as I'm aware. Chainlink wasn't on it, but the chances of a Chainlink ETF happening it will happen somewhere down the line regarding Chainlink. It's a genuine project that has a big future for itself, massive future for itself regarding Chainlink. So somewhere down the line, it will also get an ETF if it doesn't get it this time around. Now, let's go to the comments. Let's go to the first news of tonight's live show, which is regarding Hong Kong. Hong Kong and the Mirror of China publishes the future plans for cryptocurrency. Hong Kong has decided to write down, essentially share their rules and regulations with the entire world of what's going to be happening next. The Hong Kong Chief Executive's 2024 policy speech Article 99 is what they're essentially naming it, outlines a comprehensive strategy to advance the territories for crypto ecosystems and fintech innovations. The government plans to promote central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, regulatory frameworks for over-the-counters, OTCs, tradings, and tokenization technology, as well as introducing a new legislative for stablecoins. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority is actively testing cross-border payments solutions using CBDCs. As a part of its Enbridge platform, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority is expanding technology solutions for commercial settlements and increasing participation from both the public and private sectors. The Financial Services and Treasury Bureau, the FSTB, is set to complete essentially its second public consultation on regulatory proposals for OTCs, trading of cryptocurrencies. It also plans to introduce a licensing regime for virtual assets and custody service providers to strengthen regulatory frameworks. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority's leading project resembles to explore the tokenizations of real-world assets and the use of digital currencies for interbanking settlements. The initiative aims to develop infrastructures for digital asset tradings. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority has also launched a stablecoin sandbox for potential users to test their business plans in. Working with the FSTB, it will introduce a regulatory bill for fiat reference stablecoin issuers later this year in order to encourage the adoption of tokenization technology. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority will launch a digital bond grant scheme. The initiative aims to encourage financial institutions and issuers to utilize tokenization in capital market transactions. So, China being very strict on essentially regulations and policies, as well as Hong Kong is a bit more loose on regulations and policies, and China essentially funnels their money through Hong Kong because Hong Kong is a province of China. And China's about to be opening their doors to a lot of things. They're testing so far on tokenizations, successful. Web3, successful. Cross-border payments, successful. Every testings they've done so far have all been successful. And Hong Kong's getting very close to their CBDC release. They're getting very close to implementing all sets of rules and regulations, and even being on a scale to compete with the MiCA regulations coming out of the EU. And yeah, a lot of money is going to be entering Hong Kong once those things essentially get the ball rolling, which they're not that far off, to be fairly honest. Now, what we're going to talk about next is Trump's token. So we all know that the Trump family crypto project was released, the WLFI crypto project, which I said it's a great idea, but I said it's better if he releases it after he becomes president, not before he becomes president, because it's already had some downside, which we'll go through. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section. I just read Funky Brother's comments. It says, Miles, give me this weirdo's name and number. I will go with him for dinner. I'll be honest, I don't know who the F he is, but if you want, he's called Ghost Town. He's in the comment section. Sometimes we get some weird people coming inside the comment section. But then Funky Brother, I don't know who he is or what his number is, but he's in the comment section. It's called Ghost Town. Contact him to see what's going on. Miles, do you mean UK time tomorrow? No, US. They will file at 11:59. Is Chainlink on Grayscale? Let's probably read that one. Is Tesla selling their BTC? Okay, Tesla has moved their bitcoins to they've made a transaction on their bitcoins. A lot of people are assuming that Elon Musk is going to be selling off bitcoins now. Most likely he isn't. He's just moving it wallet to wallet, or essentially moving it to an exchange. Moving an asset to an exchange isn't just necessarily mean they're going to be selling them off. Always remember that as well. Even though it might indicate they're going to be selling, it doesn't mean that they are. Sometimes even, you know, in terms of people moving large amounts of Bitcoin into an exchange, they move it back into their wallets. Miles, if one holds 30,000 XRP, can they save from CBDCs? Yes, you're good to go. Not financial advice in any sort of way. See, if I don't shove kebabs, I'll pay his Jackson. If I don't shove kebabs, I'll pay his Jackson. I'm really fed up with these stupid idiots. Ian, I know, but I've seen this even. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes we get weird people inside the comment section. Now, Trump's crypto project, the WLFI crypto token, falls short of fundraising expectations. They were expecting to make from the World Liberty Financial Project, which was released by the Trump family, they were expecting to make roughly $300 million in fundraisings. And this is how it went. So these are the bullet points on this project. Donald Trump's WLFI token is missing the mark on its fundraising goals. Less than 2 days since its launch, the numbers are far from the hyped projections made by its founders. Now, there are a few issues, and it's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. World Liberty Financial, the company behind the token, which calls itself a crypto bank, launched WLFI on Tuesday, which much essentially a fanfare. Co-founder Zachary claimed on the stream just a day earlier that over 100,000 people were on the whitelist to buy in for the Donald Trump crypto project. He told his ex-followers that we know that there has been a lot of excitement in the marketplace for Donald Trump's crypto project. These numbers are, in my opinion, unheard of. But right now, only 9,050 unique wallet addresses hold the token. On-chain data from Scanner shows only about 9% of these who registered went ahead with their investments. In a bid to sell 20 billion tokens at $1.50 each, WLFI had a high hopes of pulling in $300 million. The current situation is around $11.8 million. They're supposed to be bringing in $300 million from the Trump crypto project, and instead it only brought in $11.8 million. Now, there are reasons why this happened. That translates to less than 4% of the tokens being sold so far. It's a far cry from the dream valuation of $1.5 billion they had initially set. Trump himself gave the WLFI token a boost, making a video about it, urging his followers to jump into the sale. He called essentially crypto the future and drove traffic to the website. It wasn't just the lack of interest and essentially held WLFI back. The project's website, which was only placed to buy the token, was plagued with problems. So apparently the crypto project website for Donald Trump's crypto project wasn't working properly. It's almost like either it became too loaded with too many viewers coming in, which ended up making the website crash, or the website was DDoSed, which is when you send a lot amount of fake bot viewers to a website on purpose to DDoS the website. Now, I said things like this can happen. I said when Trump was trying to make a speech with Elon Musk on X Spaces for the first time ever, X Spaces was being DDoSed. So Elon Musk couldn't do his speech with essentially Donald Trump. And I said that something like this or similar to this could possibly happen, which ended up being the Trump website for buying a crypto token crashed because most likely it was being DDoSed. It repeatedly went down, showing users essentially under maintenance messages on the website. This left many potential buyers unable to access the sale at all. Another major factor limiting WF's reach is its classification as a Regulation D token offering. This choice allows essentially the project to bypass SEC registration, severely limiting the number of people who can buy in. Donald Trump's crypto project is in the category of Regulation D. Regulation D basically means you have to be a credited investor to be able to invest into Donald Trump's crypto project, and you can't just be a normal retail section person. So Regulation D means only accredited investors can take part. To qualify, these investors must have a net worth of over $1 million, among other restrictions. So the SEC doesn't look into them. On top of that, the World Liberty Financial's role as a governance token doesn't offer the same kind of rewards that other crypto projects do. Buying WLFI gives investors the right to vote on decisions affecting the protocol. But as of now, there has nothing to vote on. WLFI has started the approval process for Ava, one of the more established crypto leading platforms, but there's no guarantee the process will be quick. Until then, the only thing WLFI investors can do is wait. This is bad. This is why I said Donald Trump, if he wants to release a crypto project, release it after you become president. Because this man needs to become president. The world needs to be, saved. And he's the only man that can do it. Donald Trump is the only person that can save the hole that everybody has digged themselves into in this world. He's the only man that can save it. He's the only man that can bring common sense. I'll be fairly honest. But this is why I said he needs to release the crypto project after he becomes president, not before it. Because he's now released the crypto project that is only $1 million accredited investors can buy into. 2, It has no use case. The people that have brought the token are just going to be holding on to it. By the way, you can't even sell it. There's difficulties on selling it as well. So there's difficulty slowly rising from this Donald Trump crypto project, which I said will rise. It's a crypto project. Nothing ever goes correctly with launching a crypto project. Everybody's had difficulties. If you've ever launched a crypto project, you know there are difficulties. The money raised goes straight into WLF's treasury, and the project offers nothing concrete in return for now. This is bad, because news channels will start picking this story up and going, Donald Trump sells crypto tokens to his followers and voters with no hopes and dreams and no policies. You know how the news is going to be. They're going to brainwash everybody thinking this man is a bad person. But in reality, the two morons that started the crypto project with Donald Trump are the morons, not Donald Trump, the other two morons. One thing that might be worrying for some potential buyers is the lack of transparency around the project. Unlike most new crypto launches, WLFI hasn't released a white paper or a detailed business plan. This is bad also, because the news is going to pick this up and go, Donald Trump released a crypto project, scammed his voters with no road paper, no map, no white paper, no nothing. What they have shared is a 400-word proposal on Ava's governance form, which is now nowhere near the level of detail that seasoned investors would expect from a project of this scale. Plus, 70% of it belongs to Trump and his family, directly going against the concept of decentralization. According to the World Liberty Financial's website, they also entitled to receive an undisclosed amount of tokens and significant fees for their involvements. All this comes aimed at extremely tight political race between Trump and his Democratic opponent, the sitting Vice President Kamala Harris. Some polls show that Harris holds a narrow lead in key battle states, while others show a dead heat between the two candidates. Look, in general, this is bad. Okay, I said all of these things that have just happened right now, I said they will happen. Which is why I said essentially they'll be going after the website or going after the crypto project, which they have. His website was being DDoSed when people were trying to buy the token. I said when Donald Trump was doing his speech with Elon Musk on X Spaces, they were DDoSing the X Spaces, so the man couldn't speak. For about 45 minutes, the X Spaces couldn't start with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Europe was trying to ban the speech. America was trying to ban the speech. So I said him launching a crypto project, they're obviously going to DDoS his website or try to hack his users or scam his users to make him look bad. This is why I said, don't launch a crypto project when you're trying to run for presidency. It's the dumbest thing ever. Launch a crypto project after you become president, not before it when you're trying to get votes in. And now he has a crypto project with no white paper. People have brought tokens and there's no white paper to it. People have brought tokens, there's no roadmap to it. Because it was rushed. The two morons that built this project, not Donald Trump, the two morons that built this project, they're the ones to blame. I said there's probably somebody or some people around Donald Trump telling him this is a great idea to launch a crypto project. I said it's a stupid idea when you're trying to become president of the most powerful country of the world, United States of America. I said it's a stupid idea, very dumb idea. And look now, they've launched a crypto project, no white paper, no roadmap. People are holding tokens that they don't know what to do with. They don't know what's happening next with this crypto project. Their website's being DDoSed. Pretty much everything I said happened like a domino effect. Next, the news will probably pick it up and say Donald Trump is a bad person, scamming his voters with crypto tokens. And in reality, he isn't. It's just the two morons that started this crypto project though. This is bad. Now, what we're going to talk about next is Siam. It's one of Thailand's oldest commercial banks, and they've just given a green light to a stablecoin for cross-border payments. One of Thailand's oldest banks has just given a green light to cross-border payments and stablecoins, which is massive news. Before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what's going on here. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Ghost Runner, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, you kept saying that Trump should have done this after he was elected. It's the only way. You never launch a crypto project when you're trying to get votes. Everything goes wrong with a crypto project. I'm launching my own startup company that I've been working on for almost 4 to 5 years. And there are days where everything goes wrong. Starting your own company is a nightmare. I was about to say it's an effing nightmare. It is. In reality, starting your own company is an effing nightmare because everything is bound to go wrong. I know this from experience because I'm still experiencing it. And launching a crypto project, anything could possibly go wrong. But it was such a bad idea to launch it when you're trying to become president. Now Gary the Weasel going to sue Trump for securities. He can't because the crypto project for Donald Trump is registered on the Regulation D. Regulation D categories is for accredited investors only. So retail section are going to have difficulties buying that. Or whoever has brought into it for a accredited investor, a broker or something. You did say that, Miles. Yes, I did, Ian. Scott, good to see you. How you doing, brother? How you been? This is not good. No white paper. Yep. You did say that, Miles. I did, Ian. Facts. Oh boy, Miles called it again. No white paper. Miles and his, let's go. Advice is facts. Ian, facts. Shelley, Miles and his crystal ball again. Facts. Trump better do refunds if he wants to become president. This whole thing could have been a trap they set for him. The two guys that did it, who knows? I think so. I did say the people around Trump are the ones that are doing this crypto project, and Trump should have never got involved. Let's go, CM family. Let's go, Toby. What time of the day does the SEC have? 12 midnight? Yes, or I think the latest is probably yeah. But after that, they have one business working day. So if the SEC doesn't file in, I'm still seeing it after 24 years in business. I'm still seeing it after 24 years in business law. Yeah, honestly, everything goes wrong in the business space. This is not good for a potential president. Nope, it's definitely not. And I called it. Like everything else I have, and it's all came true. But on the question of G asked the question. G asked the question of the SEC does it have until 12 midnight. So if the SEC doesn't file in their C1 filing today, if the SEC doesn't file in their C1 filings, then they have one business day to ask for an extension for the Ripple case. So the SEC has to file in their C1 filings today. If they don't file in it against essentially Ripple with the courts, their C1 form, then they have to file in for an extension. And they have one business day to file for an extension time. If they miss their one business day to file an extension, then they have to file in a motion of why they missed their C1 filing deadline, why they missed their one business day, essentially late filings for extension. And then about 5 to 6 days later, the courts will come back after listening to the SEC's excuse of should they carry on and look at their appeals or not. If they say no, then they'll get tossed out. So the appeal could get tossed out. I think the only reason the SEC hasn't filed in anything is because they have zero grounds. You need to have so much merit right now to go up against Ripple in this SEC case, and the SEC doesn't have any merits. I called that a while ago as well. I'm seeing, I look back listening to the podcast when they launched it. I personally think his son got too excited, spotlight on them. What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you. How you doing? I said also a while ago, it's selfish. What Donald Trump's sons are doing, it's selfish because Trump is trying to become president. Their father is going to become president of the United States of America. Their father is going to become president. And his sons are sabotaging him becoming president because they're launching a stupid crypto project. They could launch that crypto project after their father becomes president. Why are they going to release it before the man becomes president? And I said this as well a while ago. I said his sons are being selfish. Man, the SEC is doing its best to drag this case on, by the looks of it. Now, Thailand. One of Thailand's oldest banks has just given a green light to cross-border payments for stablecoins. Siam Commercial Bank launches Thailand's first stablecoin cross-border payment system. Siam Commercial Bank has introduced Thailand's first stablecoin-powered cross-border payment system, partnering with SCB10X and Lightnight. The bank will use stablecoin digital assets pegged to gold or to the US dollars for faster and more efficient international transactions. The solution is built on a public blockchain network with Fireblocks, providing a top-tier custody technology to ensure asset securities. The new payment provider system enables 24/7 cross-border transactions, reducing the need for banks to maintain pre-funded accounts and foreign partners, which improves capital efficiency and lowers operational costs. By eliminating layers of clearance and currency conversions, the service offers customers a faster and cost-effective way to send and receive funds internationally. Users can transact using local currencies, further simplifying the process. And in August, the Thai regulators launched also a digital regulatory sandbox to encourage crypto adoptions in the country as well. The initiative, backed by public hearings in May, allowed the participants to test crypto services under the flexible regulations to help develop Thailand's digital asset market. Essentially, this SCB stablecoin project successfully guaranteed from the Bank of Thailand's regulatory sandbox in October 2024, according to a release, and is now fully commercialized. It is set to set a new standard for the use of blockchain technology in the financial sector and strengthen the SCB's position as a leader in digital banking. So, Thailand's one of the oldest banks in Thailand has just given a green light publicly that they're going to be doing cross-border payments with stablecoins, and next is going to be cross-border payments with CBDCs and so on. But it's good. This is good to see that more banks entering from all aspects, from all around the world, from every country, joining the crypto space, getting involved in cross-border payments. This is great to see. There's more eyes, more adoption in the crypto space. Now, what we're going to talk about next is John Deaton and Elizabeth Warren. Senator Elizabeth Warren and John Deaton went head-to-head yesterday. And John Deaton asked some interesting questions towards Senator Elizabeth Warren. And obviously, as usual, people like Senator Elizabeth Warren will just dodge questions like they didn't hear them, when essentially when John Deaton asked Senator Elizabeth Warren about the Epstein Island situation, Senator Elizabeth Warren pretended she didn't hear the question regarding Epstein and regarding JP Morgan and Epstein, and she pretended she never had the question in the first place. But he also asked Senator Elizabeth Warren some other questions, which she also dodged as well. And they also talked about crypto assets. They talked about crypto assets as well. And John Deaton even mentioned XRP token being stifled by Senator Elizabeth Warren and her goons, which is essentially Gary Gensler, and the FIDIC chairman as well. So we're going to go through the bullet points on that matter of what was discussed. Senator Elizabeth Warren and John Deaton spar over crypto. So we're going to go through the bullet points related to crypto, not the Epstein situation. The highly anticipated debate between the Massachusetts senator and digital asset critic of Elizabeth Warren and her pro-crypto challenger, John Deaton. This is what essentially happened in bullet points. Among the highlights of the exchanges was Senator Elizabeth Warren's accusation that John Deaton could become a mouthpiece for the crypto industry if he won, putting its interest ahead of those who elect him. How is that a bad thing? Senator Elizabeth Warren said, basically in a very simple term, if John Deaton takes my chair, he will become pro-crypto. What's bad about that? Every country is pro-crypto except the United States. You're falling behind. So if John Deaton, takes your chair and becomes pro-crypto, it's a bad thing, according to her. She also wanted to add more on debate. the co-host, John Keller, triggered the crypto conversations between the two candidates by highlighting their opposing views on the matter. While Senator Elizabeth Warren has previously stated her intentions to build an anti-crypto army, John Deaton made a name for himself criticizing federal authorities for what he believes is an overly aggressive regulation of the industry. The former Marine started off by arguing that crypto plays an important role in offering financial alternatives to people underserved by the traditional banking systems. He pointed out, using essentially multiple valid points that he did make, about how crypto helped his struggling mother who had been burdened by essentially banking fees, and how crypto saved his family and so on. And he also took an aim at Elizabeth Warren's focus on digital assets while ignoring more pressing issues like inflation and the high cost of living. He said, "I wish Senator Elizabeth Warren attacked inflation the way she attacked crypto," John Deaton said. Undeteriorated, Elizabeth Warren responded by accusing the Republican candidate of being a beholden to the crypto industry. If John Deaton goes to Washington, his crypto buddies are going to want a return on their investments, the senator said, pointing out that the majority of her opponent's campaign funding comes from the crypto sector. Why is that a bad thing? If John Deaton takes Senator Elizabeth Warren's chair, and essentially the Republican Party or any sort of party inside the government becomes pro-crypto, I don't see the bad part of this. The only person that sees crypto as the enemy is Elizabeth Warren and the morons standing behind her. Everybody else with some brain cells or any sort of brain cells will see that crypto is actually a good thing, not a bad thing, but a good thing, because she's pro-bank, which is the banks controlling everybody's lives. The banks, essentially giving it to you with the fees. Whereas crypto takes those fees away. She's pro-bank, he's pro-crypto. Obviously, pro-crypto is a better choice if you're for the people, Miss Elizabeth Warren. One candidate standing here is funded almost entirely by one industry, the crypto industry, and 80% of his personal wealth is tied to it. Again, how's that a bad thing? The Crypto Law founder countered the senator's assertions, saying that she herself had benefited from corporate PACs and special interest groups, which is facts. This is why I say politicians have more sponsorships than Formula One drivers. Honestly, the truth. All politicians have more sponsorships than sport teams. All sport teams put together, the partnerships don't add up compared to the politicians. So her stating, crypto people are behind him, yeah, but all the banking systems are behind you, or the corrupt ones. He also brought up his involvements in the Ripple vs. SEC lawsuit, where he advocated for XRP holders against essentially what he described as regulatory overreach. Thank you for John Deaton, honestly, for mentioning XRP and Ripple in that scenario, in that situation. It was a very heated debate. But he made a valid point. Why are you stifling Ripple's growth? Why is the SEC became a tool to threaten the crypto space instead of regulating it? The lawyer claimed that his work in the case helped secure a major donation from Ripple's co-founder Chris Lawson to Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign, saying, "Madam Vice President, if you're watching, you're welcome." It is true. Chris Lawson made a donation to essentially Kamala Harris's campaign, which he also mentioned on that debate as well. Ripple's just playing both sides of the scheme right now. But despite the comments, Senator Warren stood firm in her beliefs that crypto poses a major risk to both consumers and the American financial system. Additionally, she raised concerns about the potential for such assets to facilitate illegal activities, including money laundering and essentially illicit financings. "I'm not against crypto," the senator clarified, "but it has to play by the same rules as the banks and credit unions to ensure consumer protection." So let me get this right. According to Senator Elizabeth Warren, crypto assets have to play by the same rules as the banks. Are we talking about the same banks that were money laundering for the cartels? Are we talking about the same banks that were money laundering for the Epstein Islands? Are we talking about the same banks that were money laundering for multiple illicit activities? Are we talking about the same banks that fund random wars? Are we talking about the same banks that essentially collapsed in 2008? Are we talking about the same banks that essentially run off for people's monies and close their doors, that file for bankruptcies? Are those the banks that Elizabeth Warren is saying we have to play the same rules as them. So what are you trying to tell us, Elizabeth Warren? We should start doing what they do? Honestly, I feel like I should have been there with John Deaton and Elizabeth Warren in the room. Because her stating the most dumbest sentence ever, I'm not against crypto, but it has to play by the same rules as the banks and the credit unions. However, John Deaton called her out, claiming that she was sliding with the big financial institutions over regular people by supporting legislations that would ban Bitcoin self-custodies for individuals but allow banks and investment firms to manage it. Her policies benefit the financial elites, not everyday persons. Facts. Honestly, if I was just only in that room with Senator Elizabeth Warren and John Deaton, I would make her quit that day. Play by the bank's rules. Oh yeah, sure. The same banks that were supporting Epstein's Islands. The same banks that were laundering for the cartels. The same banks that do illicit activities. Those banks, you mean? We should be acting like those banks inside the crypto space. If you're going to choose someone to put them on a pedestal, choose somebody better than the banks. Don't put the banks on a pedestal and say to the crypto space, you should be following them. Because all they've done is messed up. All they have done is messed up. Because all they've done is fund illicit activities. Since the day those banks opened their doors, they funded illicit activity until now. So if you're going to put them on a pedestal and say to the crypto space, Elizabeth Warren, look at what the banks are doing, they're following the rules. What rules? Yeah, the same banks that crashed 2008 or funded the Epstein Island situation. Or any sort of cartel families. The list just goes on with the bank's mess-ups. Now, JP Morgan and Chase, ironically, is what we're going to talk about next. JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America. Man, the SEC is doing its best to drag us in facts. I think John did a pretty good last night debate. It was very good. Yeah, I agree. Even Miles of CMF, Manny, good to see you. So how you doing? Even the moderators were good. Yes, for once, the moderators that were essentially between John Deaton and Elizabeth Warren, in general as a moderator, they were excellent. The same bank, the taxpayers bailed out Miles. Facts. Miles, I heard John Deaton call her a $2 hoe. Well, she deserved it. I'll be honest. Glenda. Hello, Miles of CMF. Good to see you. So how you doing, Glenda? How you been? Now, talking about the banks, JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America anticipate continued interest rates cuts by the Feds. Two major American banks, JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America, believe that the Federal Reserve will continue to reduce interest rates. This process began last month when the Feds lowered interest rates by 50 basis points due to concerns about the health of U.S. economy. The analysts from JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America predict that the Feds will adapt a more moderate stance in the upcoming meetings. According to Bloomberg, a 25 basis point rate cut is expected in November. Market strategists viewed the increase of 254,000 in non-farm, essentially employments in September as a sign of resilience in the U.S. economy. JP Morgan's chief economist, Michael, states that the strong labor market should ease the Fed's jobs. Bank of America's economist, Adiot, asserts that another 50 basis points essentially cut is no longer necessary in the light of strong labor reports. The New York Fed President John Willis adds that the U.S. economy is poised for a soft landing. Michael, from essentially JP Morgan, he said the strength in the labor markets should make the Fed's job easier. Aita, from essentially Bank of America, said a strong labor market indicates that another major rate cut is unnecessary. And John Williams said the current stance of monetary policies is well positioned to keep the economy and labor markets strong. These developments indicate that the Fed is gradually normalizing its interest rates policies. September CPI data showing a 2.4% increase marks the lowest rise. The Fed's dot plot anticipates rate cuts of 25 basis points in both November and December meetings. And finally, strong economic data and labor market supports the Fed's careful and gradual approach to interest rate policies. Market participants will closely monitor the impact of upcoming rate cuts on essentially economic growth and inflations. So, according to Bank of America, according to JP Morgan and Chase, and according to the New York Fed President John Williams, the US economy is doing excellent. According to these three people, the US economy is in top-notch conditions. It's ironic, isn't it, that whenever it's voting season, the economy somehow is doing better on paper. Reality is much more different to what's on paper. Now, but according to them, 50 basis points maybe is not needed, 25 basis points, and we're good to go. And the economy is doing better. If we do get 25 basis points coming in, then the markets will still react in a positive way. The crypto market will react in a positive way, and so will the stock market. And so will gold, essentially, and so will. Now, what we're going to also talk about is Bitwise's CIO. He's came out with another prediction for the fourth quarter of 2024. Bitwise CIO predicts a significant Bitcoin rally in the fourth quarter as the market uncertainty fades. Bitwise's CIO Matt Huguen expects a Bitcoin rally in the fourth quarter of 2024. The firm's chief investment officer at the asset manager expects the existing macroeconomics factors surrounding Federal Reserve cuts and the upcoming US presidential election to dispute essentially by the October and November situations. Matt Huguen, CIO of Bitwise, boldly predicted that the price of Bitcoin could exceed $80,000 by the end of 2024. If the current conditions hold, the Bitwise CIO based his forecasts on the interplays of political, economics, and technological issues. Matt Huguen also believes that the November US elections, favorable market conditions, and growing interest in altcoins are likely to propel Bitcoin towards new heights. According to Matt Huguen, a Bitcoin rally in quarter four of 2024 would have been likely if a particular set of conditions had been met. First, the Democratic candidate party, Donald Trump, will win the upcoming election. Cryptocurrencies have been a significant subject during the 2024 US presidential race, with most people assuming a Trump win could be good for the industry, while Harris essentially Harris will not win essentially if Trump wins. Speculation remains highly following the Democratic Party's contrasting views on the crypto industries. While Senator Elizabeth Warren leads the anti-crypto army representatives, Richie Torres has shown a deep support for digital assets also. While Bitcoin doesn't necessarily need politicians to thrive it, Matt Huguen believes the right attitudes surrounding digital assets could lead Bitcoin to a breakout. The Bitwise CIO said that people are attracted to Bitcoin because of its simplicity, especially because it's becoming clear that no one can really trust the government with their money. This idea led to birth of an alternative currency in 2009, and its potential success is evidenced by its institutional adoption, especially in the form of Bitcoin ETFs by BlackRock and other issuers. Crypto's recent rally, despite the Federal Reserve cutting rates by 50 basis points, notwithstanding a growing US economy, shows this significance in the financial marketplace. Bitcoin has also surged at a time when China recently plunged a 2 trillion yuan economic turmoil. Matt Huguen prediction point to a potential Bitcoin breakout by the end of 2024 as the market seems hungry for more. The last thing that Matt Huguen believes will lead to an $80,000 rally is the fact that there haven't been any big surprises, hacks, or massive lawsuits recently. The past few quarters have been relatively silent, and devoid of any sort of surprises of which the crypto industry has been renowned for. There's also been feelings that the release of BTC has not previously locked up in the failed Mt. Gox crypto exchange situation and could have helped to stabilize the market even more. The Bitwise CIO believes that we could expect Bitcoin's breakout under current circumstances held. There won't any shocks or surprises. So, according to Matt Hugan, the Bitwise CIO, we could be heading to a $80,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. Is there a possibility of happening? You never know. I'll be honest. You never know. We could actually do 80,000 by the end of the year. It's not a big ask, 80,000. You might say, wow, that's a really big ask, but it isn't. A big ask is when somebody comes out and says Bitcoin is going to be $1 million by the end of 2024. Yes, that is a ridiculous ask. But 80,000 is not that much of a big ask, especially with the growing interest in terms of more banks entering the crypto space and more institutional interest. And the next clientele entering the crypto space, it is essentially institutions. That's according to Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Bank of America, and everybody else. But $80,000 is doable if the right conditions are met. Now, what we're also going to talk about now is the US elections. Keeping up with the tempo, which is banks, Fed policy ratings, and then US elections now. US elections 2024. Brace for an impact. With the US presidential election polls showing a terrorist race, cryptocurrency investors are bracing for volatility. But how important is the outcome of the election for the future of crypto in the medium to long-term run? Looking at implied volatilities for BTC and ETH options, we can see a clear spike around the US election data, which is not really surprising given the overall volatility is likely to increase around that date. Interestingly, BTC's put/call skew, the difference in price between a comparable call and essentially a put option, signals optimism across the curve. Even longer dated options with expiries beyond the election dates, 3 months, are showing a call premium over puts. This is rather surprising given the fact that presidential races on the knife edge, with the winner being anyone's guess. It seems like the market is optimistic regardless of who wins the election. Until President Biden dropped out of the race in July, it seemed like Trump was the clear favorite within the crypto community. In the aftermath of the failed assassination attempt of July 12th, Bitcoin jumped from $56,000 to $56,000 to $65,000. The whole Trump assassination attempt, around the first time they tried to assassinate Trump, essentially, Bitcoin jumped from $56,000 to $65,000 because Trump survived. On the back of expectations that the former president would benefit from the incident, Trump's views on crypto seems to have changed over the years. As president, he voiced skepticism over crypto, claiming that he could be used to facilitate illegal activities such as drug trafficking and so on. He also mentioned at one point that he sees Bitcoin as a currency competing against the dollar, the US dollars. In more recent times, however, he wholeheartedly embraced crypto, pledging that he wants the US to become a Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the planet under his leadership. His campaign has started accepting Bitcoin donations. He's also mentioned that he would replace the SEC chairman commission, Gary Gensler, a notorious disliked figure among crypto proponents. This pivot seems to have essentially worked up most of the crypto community in seemingly rallying behind Trump. But Trump is not the only one who seems to have discovered the growing demographic of crypto enthusiasts. While the Biden administration has taken a rather strict approach with regard to crypto legislations, Vice President Kamala Harris has also signaled a more positive stance towards crypto technologies, which in reality she hasn't. I don't know why every news channel or every single news article keeps on posting Kamala Harris is pro-crypto. She doesn't know what pro she is. The only pro she's in for is the Fruit Loops. Honestly, the only pro for Kamala is the colorful group. Anybody else outside of the colorful group, she doesn't care about. And she pretends that she cares about, the black community, the Hispanic community, and so on. And that's not what I mean by the colorful group. I mean the other colorful group. The Fruit Loops one. That's the only community she's pro about. She's not pro-crypto. She's pro-Fruit Loops. So which candidate is better for crypto, maybe? The better question is, does it really matter? Which is also the same question, which is also the same thing JP Morgan is saying. Trump presidency would be more favorable towards the industry. The option market paints a cautiously optimistic image despite the highly uncertain outcome of elections. With an estimated 40% of American adults owning crypto, 40% of American adults own crypto now. It seems like neither candidates can ignore the demands for regulatory levels playing fields any longer. Now, whether or not the candidates will actually act upon their electoral promises is obviously a whole different story. But the numbers and the public discourses show how far the industry has come in the past years, effectively evolving from libertarian niche into a powerhouse with significant lobbying power and influence. So, JP Morgan also came out yesterday with a similar report. JP Morgan yesterday came out making some sort of a comment saying it doesn't matter who becomes president at all. If it's Kamala Harris or if it's Donald Trump, it doesn't really matter. We're still going to, crypto is still going to do well for itself. So don't worry about who you vote for. It's the most dumbest thing JP Morgan has ever came out and said. But JP Morgan has said, JP Morgan has said a lot of dumb things, to be fairly honest. I mean, JP Morgan was the same person that came out and said, you know, he's against Bitcoin, Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme and so on, and now his bank holds Bitcoin. BlackRock also said something similar. It doesn't matter who you vote for, it's all good to go. Crypto will still thrive. He's also dumb too. Him stating a very long time ago, crypto is bad, Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme, I would ban it if I could and so on. He's also full of BS as well. But there are more articles spraying up and saying it doesn't matter who you vote for, crypto's still going to survive. Just to point out, Kamala Harris, Biden administration was the one essentially saying to Congress they will veto them if they go against the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler. How is that pro-crypto? It's like some people just forget about the facts. Facts don't apply to Kamala Harris and Biden. Facts do not apply to Kamala. This is why Kamala Harris never gets fact-checked. Every time Kamala Harris does a dumb interview, she'll never get fact-checked. If Trump does an interview, they'll try to fact-check him, but they'll lie about the facts. They'll say, oh, Mr. Trump, it's not like this, it's like that. And the moderators are lying through their teeth. This is why Kamala Harris never gets fact-checked, because she's full of BS. And so is the other party. I mean, so is essentially Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. But I mean, he's not all there, to be fairly honest. The man can't walk, talk, sit, stand, run. Joe Biden has his own difficulties going on. Forget about the crypto space. When it comes to Joe Biden, he has a lot more difficulties going on. He can't even sit down or stand up or talk or write or walk. He has more difficulties going on. But what we're going to talk about next is crypto usage. A data report has just came out of A16Z, which we're about to go through right now. A data report from A16Z. A16Z is the same company that funded essentially Airbnb for Airbnb to become Airbnb. They funded Uber before it was Uber. They funded many companies, and now they're very big in the crypto space. This company is very big, A16Z, of funding crypto projects. They funded Coinbase for it to become Coinbase and so on. And they just came out with a recent report, a study report on so far what's happened, what could possibly happen, and how the markets are moving, and how many more wallets are being activated, and so on. So we're going to go through A16's report now. But before we do that, let's go to the comment section first. Let's see where we're at. We were at here. By the way, this is a live. So if you do have any questions, even if you're new in the crypto space, don't be shy. Put your comments inside the comment section. I'm reading everybody's one by one, giving answers to everyone. Let's see where we were at. We were at, he knows fiat is finished, Miles. Facts. Kamala doesn't know anything, only what her earrings tell her. What the earrings tell. Facts. They are brainwashing the people, Miles. Keep repeating the lies, and they eventually become the truth. Facts. No politician cares about anyone except their own pockets. If we benefit, good. If we don't, they don't really care. I hope no one misses that. Never. I'm with you. Questions: if crypto is what it is, and I think it is, then the politician's party, regardless crypto will service, is not true. Yes. Here's the thing. I typically wouldn't say it doesn't matter. I would typically say it doesn't matter who you vote for. I've always said that. When it comes to any political campaign, I will always say it doesn't matter who you vote for, because it's all part of it's all part of the same show, except when Donald Trump is a part of the show now. So when Donald Trump is in the race, he's the only candidate that isn't like the rest of the politicians. He's the only candidate that, he says it, he does it, unlike the rest of the politicians. But when it comes, if Donald Trump wasn't running for president, let's just say this, for example, if Donald Trump wasn't running for president, then I would, and if it was a random person versus Kamala Harris, a random person was Kamala, I couldn't care less who was becoming president, because I know it's one big show. But Donald Trump adds that variable change to an election campaign, because he's very different to any other politician. Because he doesn't follow their rules. He goes by his own rules. And this is why I said, because if Donald Trump wasn't in this equation and it was just the random person versus, Kamala Harris, who's the next president, this random person or Kamala Harris, I couldn't care less. Because whoever, wins, it's all part of one show. But Donald Trump adds a variable change to this race. And he plays by his own rules. And he goes against all of their rules. That's why he adds this variable change to a political campaign race. But if it was a random politician, I mean, who cares? Whoever is going to be chosen is the whole part of the one, the whole part of the same group. But he adds variable change to the equation. But yeah, I'm typically the guy that would say it doesn't matter who you vote for, it's the same show. But he adds variable change. If he didn't add variable change, they wouldn't be trying to take him out. If Donald Trump didn't add variable change, they wouldn't be trying to take him out. If Donald Trump didn't add variable change to the equation, they wouldn't be trying to essentially damage his reputation on every news channel. If Donald Trump didn't, add variable change to the equation, they wouldn't try to get him for 41 acts of some sort of criminal activities that were all disputed and thrown out. He adds variable change to the equation. If this was a random person versus Kamala Harris, they would never try to assassinate him. They would never try to, put him in prison for random acts of essentially random situations in the courts and doing 31 acts and situations around that political campaign. They wouldn't do this if it was a random person versus Kamala Harris, because that random person was probably part of the same show. But Donald Trump adds a variable change to this political campaign. That's why they're trying to obliterate him on every news channel. That's why they're trying to assassinate him whenever they get a chance. He adds a variable change. If it was a random person versus Kamala, I would be the first one to tell you, I will be the first person to tell you, it doesn't matter who wins. If it was random person versus Kamala, because it's the same show. But this man adds variable change to the equation. Just think about it. If it was another person, would they be doing this? Crypto usage, setting records, aimed regulatory uncertainties, what we're going to talk about next, an A16Z report. Question, if, actually, no, read that one. If, that's my answer to that question, Scott. I don't understand why she's laughing all the time in all the interviews. People who tend to laugh don't have anything to say. Very honest. If somebody asks you a question and you stop, you say one sentence and you laugh, you're hoping, you can skip the answer and then the next question will come about. It's a tactic. That's the only reason she laughs a lot, because she has nothing to say. She's laughing, hoping that the person asking the questions can move on and go to the next question. XLM is being used by another company, correct? While doing research, I thought I read it somewhere today. Is that correct? Yes, Scott, XLM is, so Stellar Luminis in general. Stellar Luminis is a part of MoneyGram. And the Stellar Luminis also owns a minority share in the company MoneyGram as well. I agree about Trump. Let's go, Gene. Miles, if you take away the paper which Kamala reads from, you know Kamala Lala would go to Lala and lost. Yeah, facts, Kerry. Yes, I hate the laughing part too. Facts. Let's go, Scott. Facts. All Kamala does is laugh and lie. Facts. What Stormy said as well. He wasn't a slimy politician to begin with, working their way up through the ranks to get to the top. Facts. Also, what Shelley said. Now, 16Z is what we're talking about next. Crypto usage has reached record levels according to venture capital firm 16Z. It's in its annual State of Crypto report released today. So, as I said, 16Z is the same company that's behind, essentially funded Coinbase. They funded Coinbase, they funded Uber, they funded Airbnb. They made their money on Airbnb and essentially Uber and so on. And then they started funding crypto projects like Coinbase and Binance and so on. The list just goes on. And they've released their new reports of what they think the crypto space is headed towards. Or should I say sleeping the way to the top? Yeah, when it comes to Kamala, Kamala's had more experience. Honestly, Kamala has had more experience on her knees than she has standing up. I hate the laughing because I don't like her. Crypto usage has reached record levels according to venture capital firm A16Z. In its annual State of Crypto report released today, the report highlights a dramatic increase in blockchain activities, with 220 million addresses interacting with the technology, and at least once in September, triple the number of late 2023. According to A16Z, 220 million wallets have been activated, comparing now to 2023. A key driver behind the growth, the firm said, for the crypto space has been the broader, essentially, adoption of stablecoins, digital tokens pegged to traditional currencies like the US dollar. Stablecoins have reached a whole new level of product market fit. A A16Z Chief Technology Officer, Eddie, told CoinDesk in an interview, stablecoin issuance, stablecoin transfers, and the use are essentially off the charts on all levels. A16Z, which made its name with early investments in Facebook and Airbnb, has become a dominant player inside the crypto space, backing platforms such as Coinbase, Uniswap, and Solana. In its 2024 report, A16Z cautioned that the crypto's long-standing lack of regulatory clarity in the US and abroad has paved the way for a speculative meme coin space as well. While meme-driven celebrity-endorsed digital assets have helped bringing some retail enthusiasm back into the crypto over the past year, there is a nagging concern that the assets could pose a risk to the industry, particularly given their prosperity situations or scams or rug pulls and other abuses. According to A16Z's report, if the regulations don't come quick enough, more people are going to be scammed in the meme coin section and essentially start walking away from the crypto space because they're getting scammed and rug pulled too much in the crypto section from meme coins because we don't have regulations. And that's why this situation is happening. The irony is that it's actually a little more obvious how one out to release a legal fair meme coin than to launch it a legal network token, said Lazarin, which is the term I like to use for a token that represents a decentralized network and is internal to it. A A16Z co-founder, Mark Anderson, and Ben Howards recently announced that they were supporting Donald Trump in the 2024 election, citing Trump's promise to end their unlawful and un-American crypto crackdown, a deceiver factor in their endorsements. However, following Joe Biden's withdrawal the race, Howards made a personal donation to Kamala Harris's campaign, also acknowledging the complexities of political climates and difficulties of choosing sides. When companies make donations to both sides, they're just playing both sides. Whoever wins, they're good to go. US regulatory uncertainties has been a central theme in A16Z's past reports, but this year's edition underscores a crypto's growing presence in political discussions. Practically, as it gains traction in swing states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the report points to a promising bipartisan progress in advancing regulatory clarity inside the United States. As A16Z's report notes that the key technical breakthroughs in blockchain technology have brought the cost of spending transactions particularly essentially much more further down, stablecoins like Tether, USDT, and USDC to all-time lows. Ethereum's EIP4844 upgrade, for example, fueled the developments of cheaper layer 2 blockchains like Coinbase's Base network, Lazon emphasized, and it costs less than a penny to send USDC on Base, and that has been a sustainable pattern despite increasing uses, he told CoinDesk. And according to him, additionally, more modern blockchains like Sui and Solana have led to a 99% drop in the cost to send US dollars in the form of stablecoins internationally. According to A16Z, one of the biggest venture capital companies out there who have supported Coinbase, who have supported Solana, starting up Solana, funding it, funding Coinbase, funding Airbnb, funding major corporations, you could say, around the world. According to them, on their new report that was released today, they still see a massively positive outcome for the crypto space. They're happy that Sleepy Joe is out of the equation now. They've endorsed Donald Trump. A16Z has endorsed Donald Trump, but they've also, sent some payments to Kamala Harris's campaign as well, just in case she wins by some miracle. And so they play both sides. But in their point of view and in their 2024 reports, the world is moving towards a much more digital future than it ever was before. They said 2023, everything was very staggered, everything was very stifled. Nobody knows what they were doing in 2023. But 2024, a lot of things have changed, which they have. With all the banks in 2024, we have more banks in 2024 than ever before inside the crypto space. We have more regulations around the world inside the crypto space than ever before in 2024. We have more institutions inside the crypto space than ever before in 2024. We have more ETFs that we've never had before in 2024. So it is true, the world has definitely transformed a lot more into a digital era in 2024. Now, what we're going to talk about next is DTCC, the Depository Trust and Clearing, essentially corporation, DTCC, inside the United States, has launched a digital sandbox, which is great to see. A digital sandbox, in a very simple way, digital sandbox, every country around the world has pretty much launched some sort of a digital sandbox. Some countries launched multiple digital sandboxes. Some countries launched one digital sandbox. A digital sandbox is where essentially a country, any jurisdiction would launch it, and they would invite any blockchain project to enter their digital sandbox. And in this digital sandbox, they will run tests on these blockchains. This could be a test for cross-border payments. This could be a test for stablecoins. This could be a test for CBDCs. This could be a test for tokenizations, a test for NFTs, a test for anything involving the digital world. And if the tests are successful in the digital sandbox, then that jurisdiction would decide, let's release it to the public. So this is how the government tests projects, blockchain projects, before they release it to the public, by doing it inside of a digital sandbox. And every country pretty much has their own digital sandbox going on. That's the simplest way of explaining what a digital sandbox is. The simplest way. Now, DTCC launches digital sandbox to innovate capital market infrastructure. Why is this great to see? Because every country pretty much has multiple or one digital sandbox. The UK even decided once upon a time to share a digital sandbox with the United States because they're falling behind in the digital space. The UK decided to share a digital sandbox with the US because they were falling behind, which the US never got back to the UK. But now the US has a digital sandbox because of the DTCC. This is progress. This is great progress. The Depositories Trust and Clearing Corporation, DTCC, has a sandbox. The DTCC Digital Launchpad will be an open ecosystem where market participants and technology providers can launch pilots that will have a clear path to production. This comes after a successful proof of concept led by the Japanese Secrets Clearing Corporation, JSCC. So, the DTCC inside the United States looked over at the Japanese market space when it came to their JSCC and said, well, the Japanese have done such a great job with their digital sandbox, and we're going to use that as an example for us. The DTCC has invited a group of participants to their digital launchpad to develop initiatives that address critical management's pain points and lead to scalable solutions. Their results will be publicized in the first quarter of 2025. At the same time, the DTCC clients will have access to DTCC's digital asset suite of products within the sandbox, allowing them to develop their own use cases without substantial investments. They can receive guidance and support from the DTCC as they do so. Global head of DTCC Digital Assets, Nadine, said in a statement that the DTCC was seeking to challenge the digital asset industry. A soiled approach, she added. The ultimate objective of DTCC Digital Launchpad is to bring the industry together to build production-ready, secure, efficient digital market infrastructure and standards that will transform capital markets for generations to come. The DTCC and the JSCC for Japan completed a proof of concept for the digital launchpad. The project examined the potential role of digital technology in collateral management, focusing on central counterparts and successfully showing an improved speed of transparency. The JSCC was able to mint tokens representing cash, stocks, and bonds using DTCC's infrastructure. Smart contracts were used to integrate margin calls and the deposits of all withdrawals of digital assets, according to the white paper. In September, the DTCC and digital assets completed a project called the US Treasury Collateral Network on the Caton network. Now, a while ago, I shared that news regarding the US doing some sort of testings on a chain called the Caton network. And this is part 2 of what they ever did on Caton network for the US to be launching some sort of a digital sandbox. And in 2023, and the DTCC subsidiary processed 3 quadrillion. Just to repeat that one more time. In 2023, the DTCC of the United States government, of the United States subsidiary, processed $3 quadrillion, not 3 billion or 3 trillion, $3 quadrillion they processed in 2023 in security transactions. Its depository subsidiary, the Depository Trust Company, provided custody and servicing valued at $85 trillion for security issues from over 150 countries and territories. $3 quadrillion they processed last year. Now that's worth of $3 quadrillion is going to become digital. And let's see what blockchain is going to be running on. Now, what we're going to talk about next is Ripple. Ripple's XRP ETF filings is the first major step. Said the Chicago Markets Exchange, essentially, the executive of Chicago's Market Exchange, which is what to go through next. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Now, this is also a speech that was given at the Ripple Swell event that's going on. I hate the laughing because I don't like her. Kamala is not black or Asian. She's a coconut. Hello to my family on YouTube. I forget to check in earlier. Share the live if you have found it to be, if you have found it top to be enjoyable. Let's go, Scott. Thanks for the camels. Definitely share the live, everyone. Whoa, I see sleep away to go. Now, the Ripple Swell event had many high-profile executives, CEOs, and even government members at the Ripple Swell event. Now, this is one of them, an executive, Chicago Market Exchange. Ripple's XRP ETF filing is the first major step, said the Chicago Market Exchange executive. After the launch of Bitcoin and Ethereum exchange-traded funds ETFs inside the United States, institutions and the crypto community are eagerly awaiting for the approval of spot XRP ETFs or Solana ETFs, or essentially and Solana ETFs. According to the data If the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, approves both ETFs in the coming days, it could significantly impact the overall crypto market in terms of growth and adoption. That would be like asking for a miracle if you're expecting an ETF to come out of the SEC. But XRP ETF filing is a game changer, says Tim McCourt. During the Ripple Swell 2024 conference event, when someone asked Tim McCourt, the senior managing director of CME Group, about the possibility of XRP ETF, in his response gained significant attention. Tim McCourt said that the industry has taken the first major step. He further noted, this is what he said at the Ripple Swell conference event, "We do have an XRP reference rate and a real-time index, which is the first step in building out this ecosystem. We have an upwards of 50 real-time prices and reference rates. That's key for product providers like Bitwise, because they can at least point to a fully regulated benchmark." Tim McCourt's comments come after a week after the Canary, essentially, and Bitwise filed their and submitted their S1 forms for a spot XRP ETF to the US SEC. However, Bitwise Asset Manager was first to file their spot XRP ETF. While looking at the pace of crypto industries, Tim McCourt stated, "I don't think it's accidental that some of the largest open interest days and volume-based futures have happened after the essentially advent of ETFs, because this ecosystem is really accelerating." He's not lying, and the crypto space's ecosystem in general is accelerating, but so is XRP's reach. If you have high-profile, institutions applying for an ETF for an asset, that means there is interest for that asset. You see, a lot of people will tell you, XRP is a bad asset. Some people tell you, XRP is never going to move. Nobody's going to use XRP. Why even bother with XRP? Get rid of XRP. Some people will even go ahead and tell you to sell your XRP to buy a meme coin token. Some people will tell you to sell XRP to buy camel token or giraffe token. What you have to understand, when institutions apply for an ETF, they're not going on a whip or guessing this ETF is going to do good. No, they do multiple reports and study tests and ask their high-profile clients what potentially could be piquing their interest for an ETF that they should be entering into. They don't just close their eyes. These institutions don't just close their eyes and go, "This is the next ETF we're going to pick, and it's this one." That's not how they pick ETFs. How they pick ETFs is there has to be institutional interest. There has to be interest from their own clients to purchase that token. Otherwise, they're not launching that ETF. So for these two institutions to be filing in for a XRP ETF, that means that their client base is interested in buying their XRPs through an ETF. So that means there are institutions or high-profile investors out there who are interested in buying an XRP through an ETF. And there are people inside the crypto space that are telling you to sell your XRPs for giraffe token and camel token. First ETF with XRP exposure is possible, top experts say. Now, regarding top experts, it's Eric. Eric is a Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst. Everybody in Wall Street listens to Bloomberg. Every single person in Wall Street. Grayscale's attempts to convert its multi-token fund. Everybody's heard about this. Yesterday, Grayscale mentioned that they want to turn their large cap fund into an ETF. So Bitcoin, a mixture of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and AVAX, and so on. They're going to turn that into an ETF. Grayscale, so I'm going to give you a little bit more. Grayscale's attempt to convert its multi-token fund into an ETF might end up being successful, according to leading Eric. Earlier this week, the leading cryptocurrency focused on asset manager firm filed to convert its digital large cap fund into an ETF. In August 2023, Grayscale managed to secure a major court win against the SEC after regulators essentially rejected the company's attempt to turn Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust GBTC into an ETF. Grayscale essentially then filed a lawsuit against the SEC in order to challenge the decision, and the court ended up siding with the company. Why am I bringing this up? Well, because when Grayscale doesn't get what they want, they sue. And so far, Grayscale has not lost against the SEC. Grayscale was essentially the one that instigated Bitcoin ETFs. Grayscale sued the SEC and said, why don't you want Bitcoin ETFs? Which ended up with the SEC losing and the court siding with Grayscale for them to give them a Bitcoin ETF. Grayscale wanted an ETF for Ethereum. They got their Ethereum for ETF. Grayscale wants essentially a large fund cap, and one of the tokens inside is XRP. So out of all the ETFs, this one might be the easiest one to green pass, because the SEC knows that they'll be sued by Grayscale instantly. Later, the company went on to convert Grayscale's trust into an ETF. It's worth noting that Grayscale's ETFs were essentially frequently viewed as bearish and catalyst for the market due to their outflows, which is also true. The reason why Bitcoin ETFs didn't do well at the beginning, it was because Grayscale, essentially held people's, something that a lot of people should know, which everybody knows if you watch this live every single night. But the reason why the Bitcoin ETFs didn't do too well at the beginning, but then they suddenly did a U-turn and did excellent. The reason why the Ethereum ETFs didn't do good at the beginning, but now they're stabilizing, is because Grayscale locks everybody's Bitcoin's assets up 6 months before the ETF. 6 months before the ETF happened, Grayscale locked everybody's Bitcoins in. And then the locks came off when the ETF happened, where Bitcoin had to move their trust, essentially assets of Bitcoin, into an ETF, and then they charged 2.5%, which is a ridiculous fee, when everybody else was charging 0.20%, which made everybody outflow out of Grayscale. Grayscale manipulated the market so the price of Bitcoin could come down. Grayscale did this, and they repeated history on with Ethereum ETFs as well. Now, will Grayscale do this again? Probably yes. The good thing is they don't hold that much of XRP. They hold a substantial amount, but not that much that can impact the price of it coming down. Even if it does, it creates a better buying opportunity, let's be very honest. But it's worth also noting that Grayscale's ETFs were frequently viewed as bearish catalysts for the market due to their, exploitation outflows. Grayscale's GLDC offers exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum, as well as more cryptocurrencies such as XRP and Solana. If approved, the proposed ETFs will provide investors with exposure to these tokens. Eric believes that there is wiggle room for the ETFs to have a small portion of liquid assets. This is why it believes that such a product could be potentially approved by the SEC. If so, it will be leapfrog everyone in the race to put essentially out a combo crypto ETF, if noted. Solana and XRP account for 4.16% and 1.76% of the GLDC total holdings. There are several ETF applications to launch Solana and XRP ETFs in the US. However, the SEC, Gary Gensler, is still trying to manipulate the scenario. But 4.16% of that large fund cap is XRP for Grayscale. And if we're going to get some sort of an XRP ETF, Grayscale's will be the one that will probably get green lighted easier, because the SEC knows Grayscale doesn't mess about. They're going to sue them, because Grayscale will, say, well, we have a Bitcoin ETF, we have an Ethereum ETF. Why can't we have a large fund cap ETF? We're suing, and they know that's going to be happening. And the last time Grayscale did that, the SEC lost. It was embarrassing for them. They can't be, getting sued again for the same scenario. Congress is already, behind Gary Gensler's neck. If Gary Gensler does this, then he's an absolute moron. I mean, he's a moron already, but then he's an absolute moron. Now, so Eric is right. If we're going to get an ETF out of the SEC, squeeze it out of Gary Gensler, it's probably going to be the Grayscale one first, and then the other ones. But if the Grayscale one gets a green light for an XRP ETF through that large fund cap, then the other two will be easily passed as well. Because what's the reason is for the other two not to be passed if they're similar to this one, which is an XRP ETF? Now, so it's a positive if that one goes first. What we're going to talk about next is regulatory clarity, key for banks entering the crypto space, says an industry executive. I saw monkeypox token and was shocked. It will be chaotic when the rug pull is pulled. Yep. Do you want to know how bad it's got? How easy it's essentially become for scammers to scam you inside the crypto space? Because so many people inside the crypto space get scammed in meme coins. There was a crypto project once on the blockchain called rug pull. So because people fall for crypto meme coins too much, scammers were being very unique. Scammers were creating these unique crypto projects with these colorful drawings, and some of them were dragon token and horse token or so on token and whatever, and they were like these colorful posters and rabbit token and so on. And at one point, scammers realized they don't need to get too creative with their token logos and colorful pictures if they're going to scam people. So one scammer decided to test something out, I'm guessing, because of what happened next. So there was a scammer in the crypto space who just decided to just call his crypto project rug pull. So he, instead of creating, these funny looking images and logos and cute animals for their scamming tokens in the meme coin section, he just decided, let me just create one called rug pull, and let me just see if anybody goes into it. Yeah, he rug pulled everyone. He walked away for a couple of million. That's not good. That's not a very good image for the crypto space. When scammers don't even think they have to become creative to scam people. Just name the project, what you're going to do to them. I think the next scammer is just going to create a crypto project called I Steal From You. And people will go, this is a great project. Obviously, not everyone in the crypto space will fall for that, but a lot of people do. When it's too good to be true, it is. It's most likely is. Look, it's just how it works. There's no such thing as, Isn't Kamala giving $20,000 loans for people to start a business in crypto and marijuana mills? No. But I heard, though, Kamala Harris apparently is going to make, is going to be helping marijuana and businesses in crypto and so on in the United States, which is just embarrassing. Just quit. Honestly. Kamala Harris, here's a very simple message. Just quit. Look, you're embarrassing yourself day by day, just competing against Donald Trump. Just quit. Look at Joe Biden. He's quitting. He's on, lying down on beaches somewhere, sleeping all the time. Just do what he does. Just quit. Asking for votes, telling people you should vote for me because of your skin color. Telling people I'm going to be helping them because of your skin, or telling people I'm going to make rules for, so you can smoke. Just quit. It's embarrassing. But let me just burst a bubble for everyone. Not for everyone, but for people who still don't get it. This notion of vote for somebody that's the same as you, vote for somebody that is the same color as you, or the same background as you, or the same culture as you, or the same religion as you, is the dumbest thing I ever heard. Okay, let me just tell you why. Why it's a very dumb idea to vote for somebody based on their religion, based on their color of their skin, based on their culture. Why is it dumb? Why is it dumb, essentially, decision to make? Because a very simple thing. For example, if we're going by the notion of you vote for somebody because they have the same background and same color as you. For example, the Nigerian government, very simple example, the Nigerian government is all Nigerian. The Nigerian government is all Nigerian. And I can apply this to every government. The Nigerian government is all Nigerian. The people of Nigeria are Nigerian. So by the notion of voting for somebody because they have the same skin color as you, because they have the, same culture as you, that means they will look after you, correct? because that's the notion that's been given to people. If you vote for somebody with the same color as, with the same color as you, with the same background as you, and so on, they will look after you. So why doesn't the Nigerian government, who is Nigerian, look after their own people, who is Nigerian? Or I'll take another step. Why doesn't the Iranian government, who are Iranian, not look after their own people who are Iranian? Because by the notion of, if you vote for somebody who's the same background as you, they should look after you. And you can just apply this. Why doesn't the Korean government look after their own people? They're Korean, their people are Korean. This notion of essentially voting for somebody based on their background, based on their culture, based on their skin is the dumbest thing ever. Because there are governments operating outside of the United States where their people are the same background, same skin color, same culture, same religion as their governments. And their governments aren't looking after them. But somehow in the United States, the news will tell you, if you vote for this person because she's the same as you, she will look after you. So why doesn't that apply everywhere else around the world? Only in the United States. If you vote for somebody that's the same color as you, same background as you, same culture as you, they'll look after you. But if you go outside the United States, if you know, the Nigerian government, they don't look after their people. They're Nigerian. The people are Nigerian. The Iranian government, they don't look after their people. They're Iranian. The Iranian people are Iranian. The Korean people, their government is Korean. Their people are Korean. They don't look after their own people. And you can apply that rule to everywhere. So this notion of voting for somebody who's the same background as you, same religion as you, some skin color as you, and they will look after you, doesn't really apply. Because if you really look at it, it doesn't. But somehow in the US, though, through media, they've brainwashed people to think just because someone shares the same skin color as you, they'll care about you. And in reality, they don't. They are a politician. They couldn't care less about you. Honestly, the notion of voting for somebody because of where they're from. The Iranian government is Iranian. The people are Iranian. But look at what they've done to their own people. Not to steal you. I put it on the main page. Let me see. I'm going to go back up. By the way, this is a live, so if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm more than happy to help you out. I put up on the main page, JP, no problem. We'll tell you all see the interview of Kamala just had about an hour ago on Fox News. I'll definitely look at it. Isn't Kamala, so regarding the whole business and crypto, it's just embarrassing. She should just quit while she's ahead. It's only a clip. I'll go back and watch the whole thing. They tried to end it long. Not the steal from you token, bro. That fool offered up legalizing marijuana last minute tactic to get black voters. What a clown. Facts. What Stormy's absolute facts. Stormy. They won't let her quit Miles. She's up she's up to her neck, and it's maybe why she's always drunk. Maybe. Probably. Vote for someone based on their past actions, not what they look like or promise. Facts. I agree with GG. That's the sad part, is that there are individuals genuinely will vote for Goldfish Kamala because of their hate for Trump or because of their skin color. Extremely sad, bit true. Yep, facts. It's because the USA, they suffer from a weird type of racism. GG, facts. Facts, Miles. Let's go, Stormy. And moving on to this. Regulatory clarity. Regulatory clarity key for banks entering the industry, executive says. Banks are beginning to see the appeal of digital technology and assets, but they may not be aware of the level of commitment needed to succeed. This is not an easy time to essentially be inside the crypto banking sector. Lead bank co-founder and chief legal and risk officer Erica said during a panel discussion at the Ripple Swell Miami, Florida event. Banking in the crypto sector requires significant investments and the ability to maintain a particular relationship with regulators, said at the Ripple Swell event. The number of new banks entering the sector has made regulatory clarity and integrity collaboration among banking regulators paramount. Also adding that for a long time, there was an intent to live essentially in a gray area, to live in a gray area. And that was fine. And it worked. And we all kind of okay with it. Many banks strive to meet regulatory expectations from the outset, and that's challenging. Lead Bank has taken a three-pronged approach to managing regulatory relationships. The first component is education. People have negative perceptions of crypto that have to be assessed and countered with use cases. This is a bank executive at the Ripple Swell event telling people that they need to fix their perception of crypto assets. It's a positive, not negative. Real-life use cases already show the influence of digital assets on capital markets, so banks can show the amendments of the technology, which is the second prong. One important, essentially, ability digital technology provides both bankers and regulators is highly efficient monitoring. Khalid explained. Regulators get that direct oversight from we're not looking to look like a spawn regulation, we're embracing it. Finally, practice is no less important. Went on to say, it's incredibly frustrating, honestly, in my role, but the goalposts are going to move. That's just the reality with this. And we have to keep pace and try to be that thought of partner, she explained. Banks may have to give digital asset bankings a tryout of curiosity or adapt it for the sake of a cost of reduction. But the investment required to do so make a dip their toe in the sector impractical. A depth of knowledge is needed to succeed in the sector, along with investments in products, technology, and personnel. So that was what was said by a bank essentially executive at the Ripple Swell event, that banks want to enter the crypto space, but they're having difficulties. I wonder why banks are having difficulties. Could it be because Senator Elizabeth Warren, is useless at her job and all she does is sabotage the crypto space? Or is it because the Biden administration vetoed Congress if they went against Gary Gensler with his banking laws? I think it's a part of everything. I think it's a bit of Kamala Harris that's sabotaging banks entering the crypto space. It's also Elizabeth Warren sabotaging banks. And it's also Gary Gensler sabotaging banks. And the FIDIC chairman sabotaging banks. They all have a part to play in Operation Leave America Behind. Honestly. And these people are supposed to be pro-American. They're supposed to be pro for their own people. Kamala Harris is nothing but pro. She's for herself. Now, Ripple announces partnership with the International Rescue Committee, the IRC, to help people in crisis. Ripple announced today that it would partner with the renowned humanitarian organization International Rescue Committee, the IRC, to provide solutions for the delivery of humanitarian assistance. The crypto and blockchain solutions company also revealed that the IRC could leverage Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD to deliver humanitarian aid. The IRC is known for its efforts to help people affected by a crisis in different regions globally. Beyond bringing aid, the partnership will allow the IRC to help people recover and rebuild their lives after a disaster, political unrest, and more, according to reports. The crypto company has been heavily involved in humanitarian donations and has supported different organizations. Ripple also launched its Ripple Impact program to fuel positive change globally through blockchain solutions. Ripple's Impact has donated over $185 million since 2018, with $25 million in grants contributed last year. These are all the good sides of Ripple nobody ever talks about. Impact has also partnered with corporations such as Mercy Corps, Mojo Loop Foundation, Institutions for Business and Social Impact, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and more. Ripple Partners operates in over 80 countries, helping people access aid and financials. In the announcement, Ripple confirmed the increasing need for aid, with the UN reporting that 360 million people globally require aid as global issues increase. Ripple made a $1 million commitment to the IRC for several years to help the organization. The multi-year commitment will mark the IRC's exploration of blockchain technology, including the XRP Ledger. The XRP Ledger is open source, and the Ripple Global Payment Network. Ripple will contribute to the key two areas: cross-border transfers and cash relief programs. According to Ripple, the partnership will take advantage of Ripple's standing as a global payment provider and the IRC's success in providing humanitarian aid. The IRC has delivered aid across over 40 countries with over $70 million in vouchers and cash reliefs. As such, the crypto payment solutions provider believes that the partnership can potentially change the scope of humanitarian aid. We look forward to learning from the IRC's deep experience in delivering aid on the ground, which will help Ripple support humanitarian efforts at a scale, said Eric Van, Ripple's SVP of Streak Initiatives. According to David Milbrand, the president and CEO of ILC, the humanitarian organization is dedicated to finding more innovative ways to respond to humanitarian crisis faster, and Milbrand also revealed that the ILC would explore Ripple's payment gateways, including stablecoins, to serve people in more limited access areas. So that was Ripple, essentially partnered with a multi-million dollar deal, year on year. Doesn't say how many years, but for year on year, helping people in need. Ripple has donated $185 million so far to helping people in need. Ripple has donated more to people in need than the United States has, the United States government has, for their own people. There was a flood in America. People got $750. Ripple's helped by giving out $185 million so far. And this is a company, and the other one's a government. Now, good night, Miles, and the rest of the Kamala supporters. Funky brother, see you tomorrow same time as usual. I think Kamala is always laughing because she can't believe the position she's in, or not doing anything besides bending her knees. I agree. So good to hear that news. Yep, the black and white race card is a tactic right out of the communist book they have used again and again throughout time. Works a lot though, it seems. Brainwashing is a hell of a drug though. Facts. Absolutely facts. Right, facts. Yo, Miles, Knox, good to see you. How you doing, Bill? How you been? Now, the Bank of International Settlements, the bank with 63 centralized banks under its belt, 60 plus centralized banks under its belt, Bank of International Settlements. The United States Bank, the Canadian Bank, the UK Bank, the BRICS banks, for example, Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and China, also being on the Bank of International Settlements. So BRICS is also under the Bank of International Settlements, and so is the United States. And there was a PDF documentation that was released from Russia, the Russian banking systems. This is the second time, by the way, that on this documentation, PDF documentation from Russia, it states Ripple, and on the diagram, it has XRP. There's a PDF documentation from the Bank of Russia. XRP helps BRICS speed up their cross-border payments in mBridge project. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are integrating XRP into their mBridge undertakings. This, according to that one PDF documentation. This task aims to improve cross-border payments using digital currencies. Ripple's technology is essential for making transactions faster and more efficient. XRP allows smooth currency exchanges between countries like the US, Eurozone, and China. Ripple's technology improves international payments. Ripple's technology is crucial for BRICS mBridge project. It helps countries make costs quickly without using traditional banks. This saves time and money for financial institutions that they no longer need to rely on outdated systems and often slow. Now, there was one PDF documentation from Russia's bank that did actually state Ripple on the documentations in XRP, which is in the Telegram group for this live. I posted the PDF documentations from Russia's bank. Now, obviously, the PDF documentation is in complete Russian, but you can use translation to bring it back. But the diagrams are there, and Ripple is, not written in Russian. It's written in American. It's written in English letters. It says Ripple on the documentations. But here's more to it. Ripple's system verifies reimbursements instantly. This cuts down delays and increased security. Countries are now looking at XRP for settling international payments. Ripple allows different currencies to work together, which makes global payments more efficient. XRP provides a political neutrality in transactions, which is facts. I've always said this. People say that Ripple cannot become a competitor to Swift. People will tell you that Swift is too big to fail. And I said, Ripple versus Swift, Swift will fall. The reason why Swift will fall, hear me out, because a lot of people will say, no, it doesn't, it'll never fall, but hear me out. It's not that because Swift is expensive or slow, because Swift has fixed being expensive and slow by partnering with Chainlink. So Swift partners with Chainlink, so they're not slow and expensive anymore. So they fixed that part, which was slow and expensive, it's fixed. And now people are saying essentially, well, you know, now that Swift has Chainlink alongside them for a while now, they have no more issues. They're fast and cheap, just like Ripple, fast and cheap. One issue still left. One major issue, which is worse than being slow and expensive on transactions, worse than that, which is political tool. I've always said this, and I will always say this, Swift's biggest downfall is not that it's expensive and essentially slow, because people have been using for years. It's because it's a political tool, not a payment tool. It's not a messaging payment tool, it's a political tool. Swift goes around and sanctions countries. So therefore, Swift has that attached to its name, a payment tool that will sanction countries. And therefore, it doesn't matter how much they try to put lipstick on Swift to make it look presentable to countries. It's still like putting lipstick on a pig. Very simple way to put it. When it comes to Swift, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. And the lipstick is Chainlink. Chainlink is an amazing project. Chainlink is an incredible project. But even Chainlink can't fix the damage that Swift has brought upon itself by becoming a political tool to sanction countries. So it doesn't matter how, essentially Swift putting on a lipstick, which is Chainlink, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. Swift is still that same pig that was going around sanctioning countries. And that's the only reason people are moving away from Swift. They're not moving away from it because countries and banks have just realized Swift is slow and expensive. They knew Swift was slow and expensive for years, but they still used it. They're moving away because now they've been given an alternative option, which is no sanctions and use this payment system. So that is why Swift will fail. No matter how much lipstick they put on Swift, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's not being looking nice in any sort of a way. So doesn't matter whatever they do to Swift, adding Chainlink to it, they can add AVAX to it, they can add whatever they want to it. It's damaged. Their reputation is damaged. And that's the only reason countries are moving away from Swift. XRP, basically, regarding Ripple versus Swift. Nobody can sanction you on the XRP ledger. Ripple cannot sanction any country that uses the XRP ledger. But even let's just say Swift can't sanction anybody anymore. Let's just say Swift using Chainlink means that they can never sanction anybody anymore because Chainlink is decentralized and Swift is connected to these. Essentially, Swift is now a decentralized corporation. It's using Chainlink. Let's just presume it's like that. Do you think any country is going to take that risk? Because whichever country still uses Swift, in the back of their minds, they're like, maybe Swift will sanction us one day also. And now that we have an out, why not take that out? This is why Swift will fail and Ripple will take its place. Because nobody can sanction you on Ripple. But they can through Swift. That's the biggest downfall. So next time somebody tells you Swift can't fail, it's too big, and now it's partnered with Chainlink. Not now, a very long time ago it's partnered with Chainlink. And now it's decentralized, it's Chainlink and Swift together. It doesn't matter who partners with Swift. It could be AVAX, it could be Bitcoin, it could be Ethereum. It doesn't matter who partners with Swift. Swift still has that whiff of sanctions with it, which no country wants to associate itself with. That's the biggest downfall of Swift. Sanctions. It's not a payment tool, it's a political tool. Whereas the XRP ledger, no sanctions. It's an actual payment tool, a decentralized payment tool. That is why Ripple is better than Swift, and that is why Swift will fall, guaranteed, and Ripple will take its place, guaranteed. Not financial advice, my perspective, but you can see where I'm coming from. One's a sanction tool, the other one's open source. Ripple's platform also helps financial institutions make secure transactions. They can use automated contracts to complete payments. This increases trust between parties by making payments more reliable. The token is used to exchange currencies between BRICS nations. This system simplifies the international transactions and speed up payments, commercial payments. Firms no longer essentially need extra middleman to move money. Ripple provides a faster and cheaper option for global monetary transactions. Yes, it is true. Ripple is on the PDF documentations for the Bank of Russia. Bank of Russia has done testings on Ripple. That's all factual information. There's a public documentation, so anybody can go see it. But now on the documentation that was released, there were some diagrams as well regarding XRP token being in the middle in a diagram of the PDF documentations, and then there's some payment sections going with pounds, euros, and so on, Russian ruble, and so on, and then XRP is in the middle as the middleman, as the intermediary. But it's facts regarding the Russian. If anybody saw the news coming out today regarding Russia doing testings or having Ripple in their PDF documentations or XRP in their PDF documentations, that's factual information, so don't worry about it. The PDF is also in the Telegram group of this live as well, the CMF group. Now, I'm hoping everybody understood what's the biggest downfall of Swift. It's not that Swift is essentially, slow and expensive. It's that Swift is a political tool, not a payment tool. That's the biggest drawback to Swift. And it will always have that attached to it. Now, and that's why it will fail. And that's why Ripple will replace it. Also, Ripple and Swift are on the same documentation titled Cross-Border Payments, PDF from Bank of International Settlements. But also what I was going to say is that all good things must come to an end, which is now. This was the CMF Live. Drop a follow, drop a like. If you watch this on X, drop a follow, drop a like, and comment if you already haven't outside of the video on the live. If you watch this on YouTube, drop a like, drop a comment. But yeah, some people thought Swift, with Chainlink saves the day. Chainlink makes Swift faster and cheaper. Facts. Swift is going to become much more faster and cheaper with Chainlink, but it's still a sanction tool, not a payment tool. It's still a political tool. That's the biggest drawback to Swift. Drop a follow, drop a like if you're watching this for the first time. If you're a CMF member, thank you so much to every single one of you. CMF, I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in every single night, CMF members. This, if you're wondering what was this and who am I, my name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles, and this is the CMF Live. The CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. It's a live show that I do, essentially I do every single night. Everybody can tune into it. It's on X and YouTube every single night at the exact same time, 11:25 p.m. onwards, UK time. You can tune into this live. I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, cryptocurrency news, CBDC news, political news, AI news, regulation news, policy news, BRICS news. And I basically explain the news to you and PDF documentations in a much more simpler form, so everybody gets what's going on. So if you want to watch everything that's happening inside the crypto space in a much more simpler form, tune into this live every single night. And if you already haven't, and you're watching this for the first time ever, follow me. If you're watching this on X, follow, tune in. This is a free live that I do every single night. This is episode 182 of the CMF Live. And we also have a free Telegram group as well, which anybody's more than welcome to join. Everything I do is completely free of source, just to let you know. Completely free of source. You can always message me as well, and I can get back to you. No charge whatsoever. You can message me, call me on Telegram and so on, and I will always help you out, no matter what. And we have our own CMFX communities page as well. So on X, if you're somebody that's active on X, join the CMF for this live. This live has its own X communities page. Join it. So drop a like, drop a follow if you watch this for the first time ever. And on tonight's live show, we talked about XRP and regarding the Russian banks. We talked about Ripple essentially doing donations with the IRC. We went through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding regulatory clarity for banks, a perspective coming from an executive. We talked about the first ETF for the XRP ETFs, a discussion that was happening at the Ripple Swell event. We also talked about Ripple XRP ETF filings with Grayscale and the CME and a perspective from another executive. We also talked about tonight's live show regarding the DTCC, the Depository Essentially Trust and Clearing Corporation, launching a digital sandbox. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding A16Z's executive perspective on the crypto space. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding the US elections, that's going to be happening very soon. What's the outcomes, what's the movements, what could possibly happen inside the market space. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding a perspective coming from Bitwise's CIO on the market space. And we talked about on tonight's live regarding JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America's new recent report that came out today. We also went through on tonight's live show regarding John Deaton versus Elizabeth Warren. We went through the bullet points on tonight's live. We also talked about one of the oldest commercial banks in Thailand greenlighting cross-border payments for international transfers, which is amazing. We also talked about tonight's live show regarding Trump's World Liberty Financial Crypto Project. We went through some bullet points of what's been happening on that project so far. We also talked about Hong Kong, and essentially with a new set of regulations and everything coming out the woodworks. So that's all the topics we covered on tonight's live show. Tune in tomorrow, same time as usual, 11:25 p.m. onwards, UK time. If you're watching us for the first time ever, my name is Miles. I go by the person of Crypto Miles, and this is the CMF Live. Let's see where we were at. Let's see. XRP cheaper, faster, no brain. Who's choosing it? Yep, facts. I agree, Orphan. Good night, Miles and all CMF. Thank you for the news and great live. JP, see you tomorrow, but at the same time as usual. Thanks as always, Miles. Stormy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. XRP Ledger is totally transparent and nothing is hidden. Facts. Ian, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Miles. See you tomorrow, Orphan. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Ian, good night, Miles and family. Great live. Many thanks. See you tomorrow, Ian. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Come in late, but great show from whenever I joined. As always, take care, Miles and CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow, but at the same time as usual. Thank you, Miles and CMF. Thank you for the time. You're truly amazing, Mike. Thanks so much for the cameras, but see you tomorrow sometime as usual as well. Thank you, Miles and CMF. Good night and see you tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow, but at the same time as usual. Thanks, Legend. Much appreciated. Shelly, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Thank you as well. Night and day to the CMF family. Let's go, Shelly. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Miles. Ghost Burnett. See you tomorrow, sometime as usual. So we have reached the endings of tonight's live. I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. If you already haven't subscribed and you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe. If you haven't liked on YouTube, like. If you watch us on X and you haven't followed me still, follow, like, retweet, and also retweet, the X community pages. I'm making tweets there as well. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. CMF, see you tomorrow.